Hi, I'm Michelle Cook from Purple Parenting.
And I'm Sarah Webb.
Today we're going to do 5 basic tips for sleep support for your under 2s.
So the first one that we're going to look at is understanding sleep cycles. So sleep cycles are a natural part of our body clock. They're patterns of brain waves that occur regularly while we sleep, and that's all of us. It's not just children, that's throughout all of our sleep. But the under 2s have much shorter sleep cycles than adults, so they last between 45 minutes and an hour, whereas adult sleep cycles last much longer. And the transitions from deep sleep, so initially when we go to sleep, we go into a very deep sleep. And those transitions from deep sleep to active sleep, some of you may have heard that called rapid eye movement sleep or REM sleep, which happens 3 to 4 hours after we initially go to sleep. That can disturb a child enough to make them jolt out of the sleep and actually to wake up. So if you then think about the middle part of the night, in that REM or that active part of sleep, that lasts about 45 minutes, and sometimes children will wake up at the end of each of those 45 minutes and in those transitions to other sleep. And in particular, if children are not able to self-soothe them back to sleep, what they will look for is what got them to sleep in the first place, and that may be a bottle of milk, or it may be having you cuddle them or having you rock them, and so they will automatically look for that throughout the night. And so understanding sleep cycles can actually give you an idea about what is really going on for your child's pattern of sleep through the night and why they are waking so frequently.
So number 2, we're going to look at establishing a good bedtime routine. So this is your first port of call, really. Your baby needs to predict what's happening next. So that's where that bedtime routine can really help. Try to limit your bedtime routine to about 45 minutes and have things that are really calming. So bath time is quite often included in a bedtime routine, which can be really calming for some children. If a bath time goes on for a long time, it can then become a really exciting and stimulating thing for children. So it is important that if you are including bath time, that it is a calming thing for them. If they get really excited, then perhaps shift that to a different part of the day. Another thing to think about is television time. It's very often part of children's routines, and that's absolutely fine. What is really useful though is if you're switching that off about at least an hour before bedtime, because the blue light and actually this kind of stimulation for their little brains means that they find it very hard to switch off, so that can really affect them being able to get to sleep. It's lovely to include things like cuddle time, story time, singing to your child, and having regular things that you incorporate every evening means that they're starting to regulate and understand that this is what's happening next. It's bedtime now, it's sleep time now. And it can be helpful to differentiate between the calming down of a bedtime routine and the settling down of going to sleep, so that they know this is bedtime routine, now it's time for sleep.
So another thing to think about is regulating their sleep patterns and also those nap times. So our bodies respond really well to learnt routines. So having regular sleep and nap time means that a child's body knows what it should be doing next. And those nap times will depend on the age of your child. Teach the difference between nighttime sleep, where there's hushed voices, even if they're, or no voices at all, that it's dark, that there's definitely no playtime, and the nap time, which can be in a room, probably in their bedroom, but where the curtains are pulled, but actually it's not a blackout curtain. Try not to worry too much about changing your child at night. This can really, really jolt them out of a deep sleep. And actually most children will be absolutely fine to last to the morning. And also think about whether you can get out in the afternoon. Having daylight, proper daylight in the afternoon can really help regulate a child's body clock and getting them ready for the nighttime sleep. So have a think about going out in the afternoon.
What's really important is that you start to recognise what your child's sleep triggers are. We all have sleep triggers. So in the night, we will read a book, turn the light off, turn over, get comfortable, and that will be our sign to ourselves that that's time for us to go off to sleep. Children are no different. For some children, it is that they like to be rocked, that they have a bottle of milk, that you might cuddle them till they go to sleep. And that's all absolutely lovely and absolutely fine. What you need to think about is if a young child does go off to sleep with a bottle of milk or being rocked to sleep, that actually when they wake in the night, that's what they will need to get back to sleep again. So if you feel that actually you want to change their sleep trigger, it's about thinking about what triggers you would find acceptable in the night rather than having to get up, give them milk, or whatever it is you feel that isn't okay in the middle of the night. This can take time and a lot of determination. So it is really important that you are ready to make those changes. If you're not, then absolutely keep doing what you're doing. It's absolutely fine. However you choose to get your children to sleep, that's absolutely fine. But just be aware of what those sleep triggers are so that you can start to think in future, if you want to change them, what they are now and what you would prefer them to be.
And the final sort of tip that we would say to you is to be realistic. So sleep deprivation is a terrible, terrible thing. It is exhausting. So putting in changes in place around sleep is tough, and your child will push and look for those old triggers, and so they will push you quite hard for them. So if you think about a child's development, their health, their emotional attachment, where they sleep, and if there are other children around, all of those things make a difference when you're actually starting to put in changes. So think about being realistic, not overloading your child with too much. We often have parents that contact us and they want to sort of tackle behaviour and sleep, and we would always say separate that. Doing both of those at exactly the same time is not achievable and sets everybody else up to, both child and parent to fail. Have a think about what that first change might be, because it's important that you sort of make it achievable and pace it. So if there's one small change that you can make and you can put that in place, that's a really good thing to think about and to do. And to pace yourself. Don't worry too much. Don't beat yourself up too much if it doesn't go too well. It doesn't mean that you can't restart again the next day.
And there are lots of different ways that you can think to change children's sleep, and so it is about really working out what you think is going to work for you as a family, what you can stick to, and that it is the right time for you. We will be doing a workshop on sleep for the under 2's, and we will cover these sleep tips in much more detail. The workshop will also include a one-to-one with each parent that attends, so that we can really troubleshoot what's happening for you and think about how best to support your child.